Hi, I'm Jackson Bird, and welcome to another installment of Ask a Trans Guy. Today, I am joined by Taylor Behnke.
Hi.
Taylor, do you want to say a little bit about your channel?
Yeah, so my channel is called ItsRadishTime, and I make videos about storytelling with kind of a social change and activism bent.
Yeah, they're very smart, interesting videos. You should go check them out, including the one that we just filmed about my own personal mythology.
Yeah.
So go check that out, subscribe to Taylor. But right now we're gonna do Ask a Trans Guy. So basically what this series is as you all know, when you meet people, or I hope you know, when you meet trans people, you shouldn't just ask them any question that you want, that you wouldn't ask any other person. It's invasive. You can Google it. There are tons of resources out there, like the ones that I make. And this is yet another one of those resources of basically I invite one of my cisgender friends on and we lift that taboo for a moment. I let them ask me anything that they want about me or trans people, and we just sort of have a more productive dialogue within the safe space that we've established, which is very important if you're ever gonna open a discussion like this. Taylor is gonna ask me 4 questions, and then I'm gonna ask her one just for fun.
Cool. Okay, so this first question, when you first reached out to me and asked me to come up with some questions, I was like, what should I ask? And then I thought of this time that we were at VidCon and we had gotten into like one of the cars that were transporting people around. And the driver said something like, "Good morning, ladies." And I was just like, but I didn't know what to say because I didn't want to like be okay with that, but I also didn't want to like out you to a stranger.
Right.
So I didn't do anything and I still feel kind of bad about it. I want to know, and I'm guessing it's probably different from person to person, but like if I'm hanging out with a trans friend and somebody misgenders them in front of me, what should I do?
First thing you should know is I don't remember that. So don't feel too bad.
Okay, good.
But it's a really good question to ask. I get so awkward when that happens because I don't really know how I feel because I don't want to make a big deal out of it. I also know that sometimes that's actually not about being misread and like misgendered. Sometimes it's really just a slip of the tongue on the other person. I think it kind of depends on the situation. With a driver like that who probably was not going to ask us any more questions, like kind of just let it go. Mm-hmm. But maybe it's like another person in the social group in the conversation, and if they're misgendering someone, I do always really appreciate if someone who is not me kind of stands up and is like, actually, he is a guy, or he uses these pronouns, like that kind of thing, because I'm always way too nervous and overwhelmed to stand up for myself.
So like one thing that I have been trying to do more of when I'm like meeting new people is use my own pronouns so that it's less awkward for other people. Like we're all like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, I use she, her pronouns. Jack uses he, him pronouns. What are yours?
Yeah, I think that's a great way. On that note, should we say our pronouns?
Oh, yeah.
I use he, him pronouns.
I use she, her pronouns.
Nice. Next question.
Okay, so like I have, being a woman of color, white friends that I'll hang out with where I'm like, I can tell that they're kind of like jumping all over themselves to be like really woke. And like sometimes that's annoying. So I want to know like what's the most annoying thing that like cis people who consider themselves socially conscious do or say around you that like you wish they would stop?
Well, first of all, I use the exact same analogy in my head when I'm around people of color. I'm like, I know how annoying cis people can be, so I'm gonna try not to behave that way, but I know I still don't do it great.
Yeah.
But yeah, the things that are most annoying, I think just anyone making it any kind of deal.
Yeah.
Especially as a binary trans person. It is a rare occasion when something comes up that makes me need to be treated differently than any other guy. It's a little bit different with like non-binary or agender people.
And I know that's something that I'm definitely guilty of, or like I can feel that I'm doing, especially with like non-binary people, especially when it's people that I used to know using different names or different pronouns and they change them. I suddenly realize I'm like, oh man, I am saying they and them so many more times than I would say she or he, and like it's weird now.
Yeah. People using the wrong pronouns, either consistently because you can tell they're not trying, or if you mess up, which people are gonna mess up, it just happens, but making a big deal out of it. Right. Never make a big deal out of it. Just like keep going as if you misspoke in any other way that you might say the wrong word. And then maybe later, if you can privately find them, apologize and don't make it about you.
Along that same line of like trying to kind of compare this to an experience that's like completely different, but like I think about when I talk to my friends who are Black and like we have certain ways of speaking, or like obviously the most notable one that is like this is for Black people to say and not other people to say. Like I don't even use it, but like white people can't say the N-word, right?
Yeah.
But like certain in-groups have their own ways of talking to each other that aren't really for other people. Is there language like that for trans people that like you use with your trans friends but like should not come out of my mouth?
Yeah, I mean, well, we have the T word, which is the equivalent there. And even as a trans guy, like, it is not my place to ever use or reclaim that word. It is just for trans women to reclaim. We could go into that in a whole other video, but you can Google it if you're curious. But I think there's just a lot of ways of talking about ourselves. It's kind of like in the queer community, you can make a lot of jokes about being gay, but if a straight person made that same joke to you, it'd be like,
it'd be uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's like, that's not okay.
I totally get that. Like, especially for Black communities and queer communities, there's just like our own slang and stuff. And it's super, super weird when like a straight person or a white person starts talking like they've been watching too much Drag Race. And I'm just like, this is what you think is how you relate to me. And it's like super weird because that's not how we relate at all. It's a different communication style. Just a lot of culture is originated by trans women of color.
Like, and then gets so much of it. Basically anything cool.
Yeah. There's a poster or a t-shirt or something that I used to see all the time that was like white women stealing from gay men, stealing from Black women. And like that Black women is also like Black trans women.
Yeah. Like even like, that trying to source it was still erasure.
Right, right. And so like I wonder sometimes where I'm like, even as a Black queer woman, that's not necessarily for me. So I'm like, am I appropriating? Probably.
Yeah. I mean, I would say probably not as much as I am if I were to do so. Like, you're probably okay. I did think of a good example finally though, and there are a lot of identity terms that some of them are outdated at this point, and they're not things that cis people should ever say as like an actual descriptor of a trans person, but also a cis person should never tell a trans person identifying with that term that they're wrong. So for example, like transsexual, transvestite, those were very popular around like the civil rights era, and a lot of older trans people, and maybe some young ones like highly identify with those terms, but no cis person should be throwing those around.
Yeah, like, and that actually fits in really well with my next question. Speaking of Black trans women, because I follow a lot of trans people on YouTube and Twitter and stuff because I want to not be asking these 101 questions. And I was looking through the list of everybody I follow, and I realized that it is super, super white. And I think like most cis people who consider themselves like socially active and conscious know like Janet Mock and
Laverne Cox.
Yeah, Laverne Cox. And like I'm struggling even to like bring up her name, but like there's like these two actresses. And then like if you're on YouTube, you also know Cat Black. That's kind of the extent of it for most people. And like I don't follow a lot of trans people of color. So like if I want to know more about what it is like to be both not cis and not white intersecting, who should I be following?
Man, well, you're right that there aren't a ton. I will say like a bunch of the actresses who were in Pose, they are so cool. Like follow them. Erin, who hosts First Person, PBS Digital, and then Elle Hearns is not a content creator, but she's a public speaker and has a big Twitter and Instagram following, and she just founded the Marsha P. Johnson Foundation, or Institute. But I mean, I think me struggling as a trans person to come up with some is a problem. The LGBT community historically has rewarded people who are only a step below in privilege.
Right.
So anyone who's like, has multiple intersecting marginalized identities is just like pushed out.
I also think that's kind of maybe a little reversed on YouTube, where most of the trans people I follow are trans women, because I think that there was like this natural space for especially like the beauty and lifestyle communities.
Yeah. I'm actually really relieved to hear that, because I'm so much in the trans masculine bubble that I have felt like it's a lot more trans masculine people on YouTube.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, who should I follow who's like trans guys besides you and Chase Ross?
Yeah, I will say I can think of a lot more Black trans women than Black trans men.
Huh.
Black men of color tend to go stealth, which makes complete and total sense, but it is hard to find like representation in the content creation world.
Well, if you know of people I should be following, please tell me in the comments.
Put them in the comments, please.
I want to find them.
Was that 4 questions?
That was 4.
Okay, my question for you, I just want to turn your second question on its head. What is like the most annoying thing that white people do? I mean, in so many, this could be an endless video, but more in the context of like things that you've experienced with like white people who like think that they're woke.
I think right now, and this changes day to day based on like what buttons people have been pressing, I really, really can't stand the whole trend on Twitter and in think pieces to be like, Black women are heroes. They're saving us. They're the ones that are leading the resistance or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Making us this, like, idolized, like, strong Black women it's just a different kind of dehumanization. If you think that we're these, like, role models now for progress, like, start following them.
Yeah.
Like, do the work.
Yeah.
And don't just be like, Black women are gonna save us. It's like, no, you save us. We have to save ourselves. Like, we can't be saving everybody.
I watched a great video today from Brittany Cooper, who wrote the book Eloquent Rage, just talking about how, like, white women, white people in general need to accept that, like, all the really terrifying, awful white people out there are part of our community and we're responsible for them.
Right.
And that, like, we don't take that responsibility.
Right. Like, I can't stand when people, like, tweet things like, this is not my America. I'm like, it is. This is happening here.
Yeah.
These are, like, when you talk about your racist aunts at Thanksgiving, like, those are your people. Collect your people.
Taylor, thank you so much for joining me in this experiment.
Thanks for having me.
And everyone, make sure you go watch the video that we did on Taylor's channel. And Taylor, where else can we find you? It's Radish Time on YouTube.
Yep. It's Radish Time everywhere on the internet.
It's always Radish Time.
Yeah, I can never get rid of that username.
Awesome. Well, if you liked this video, you can subscribe to this channel and, you know, give it a like, a comment. In the comments, we just want to, like, have all your recommendations for the most awesome trans women of color. So
Yeah.
that's what I want in the comments today.
Please.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Cool.
Thank you all for watching. See you next time.